Aloha and welcome to the Global Hope Show. We're a student and community-based program that discusses today's issues without corporate bias. Let's get an introduction from the panel.
Hi, my name is Rachel, Hawaii Community College student.
My name is Kiana. I'm also a HCP student here in Hilo.
My name is Bunny Smith, and I'm a community person.
My name is Devin Kelly. I'm a student here in Hilo.
My name is Lindy, and I'm a UH Hilo student.
Saul, and I'm an HCC student.
Bob, I'm a retired community member.
All right, guys, thank you. What's going on? Who wants to start it off?
Well, this week and today, actually, March 4th, is a National Day of Action to Defend Public Education. It's a movement that was started by students in California, thousands of them. They're very against the steep tuition hikes that they've been facing. It's been up to 32%. And their main thing that they're saying is that, education should be a right, not a privilege. And this is just becoming the privatization of education, and it's just not, the way that it should be. So they've been doing lots of rallies, protests, student walkouts, and it's just become like a really big movement. I think that's just very important because it's just becoming so much more expensive now just to go to college that it's getting harder and harder to make it a public thing.
And that topic actually hits home to us because, I don't know if you checked the recent studies, but every year it's been going up. Tuition has been going up since Lingle has been in office, and I think it's going to continue to go up.
Yeah, we're all having a hard time with that. I know myself, I'm having a hard time paying all my tuition. It's, you don't always get help from your family. I don't, and it's getting harder to get financial aid. It's hard to get help in the offices there. They're always referring you to a different website and phone number, and I know a number of students that actually would qualify for financial aid but can't seem to get the help they need to, just get it rolling, to get their FAFSA done, to submit the paperwork, and it's just a lot of hoops that people are having to go through and facing all these rising costs. I just,
You just think they'd make it easier for us to get an education. There are so many loops, like you're saying. It took me a year before I finally figured out all the tricks with financial aid and finally got it and went to school. And then we paid for our tuition. Then we have books we have to pay for, parking we privatize. It's just really ridiculous to me.
And at least at this campus, there's a limited amount of work-study programs that they offer out, and they go quick. So not everybody's eligible for those programs. That's when it happens.
Right.
They go within the beginning of the semester, so you have to jump on it.
And you have to be taking a certain number of credits, so you have to be giving them a certain amount of money. If you're not giving them enough money,
then you don't qualify.
Make it.
I'd like to make a point that in all this discussion about not enough money, if you look at our federal budget, the red is never discussed. Never discussed. 57% of our discretionary budget goes to our military. Way down here is education. So you guys are fussed about not getting any educational money. We're down to 4%. It's going to go to 3% and 2% because the military demands it. But it's never discussed anywhere in our public media or any of the talking heads. They never bring up the issue of how much of our national wealth is being funneled into wasteful uses.
Can you zoom in on that? The red is military.
Total national budget, discretionary budget. In fact, nothing. 4% for education, 2% for agriculture, 4% for housing and urban development, 6% for transportation, 2% for energy, 2% for justice, labor, treasury, interior, less than 1%.
That brings up an interesting question, which is why certain subjects are off limits. I mean, you said that it's really not discussed at actual media, and I tend to agree, it's not. And there's one aspect of it which is absolutely untouchable, and I don't know whether this is just my personal experience or it's something that other people share too. But I seem to have met an awful lot of veterans, people who maybe served a year or two when they were 18, 19, who hurt their shoulder, fell on their knee, twisted their ankle, did something, and have been getting, between $1,000 and $1,500 a month checks for the rest of their lives, plus free education, plus free medical care and stuff. Now, that seems, I don't know what percentage of the military budget is used up in treating those people and educating those people. But that would seem to be a subject that is absolutely untouchable. And I'm not actually passing judgment on it. I'm just mentioning it because it's one of those things that no politician, it would be the kiss of death for any politician to actually stand up and say, well, what about the, the tens of billions of dollars a year we spend on veterans, on their affairs? It does sort of lead on to a question, why do people who served in the military deserve the free education? Why is it a right for someone who spent some time in the Army or the Marine Corps or Navy or the Air Force, but not a right for other people? And I just open that subject up because it's an interesting one.
For the average citizen.
Right.
Well, when we had discussed this topic, they found that when they started the whole GI bill, that what they wanted was they didn't want the veterans coming back from the war to come in and flood the job market. They wanted them to go in and get that education, which in turn would increase their salaries, their potential earning capability, and then they would pay more taxes, and then it in turn pays itself back in the long run anyway. So I think that's a lot of where the that whole GI bill and all that stuff, it's a pretty good economics plan, if you will, to not flood the unskilled labor market, you know what I mean?
Well, after World War II, when you had 7 million GIs coming back to the U.S., but not today. I mean, today that doesn't make any sense for that to be the reason anymore.
Yeah.
So what is the reason? Is it that, and I suppose the broader question is, why is the U.S. such a martial country? Why is it such a military-oriented country? I mean,
And has it always been?
And has it always been? Right. And the fact that it hasn't always been, it's really only been since World War II. And why is that?
Okay, I think we need to separate why the United States is a martial country and our propensity for getting ourselves and invading other countries, one side, to soldiers coming back. I have never yet met a veteran who had a broken ankle. What I have seen in Washington and here and elsewhere are veterans who have no minds at this point, people without faces, people who are amputees of all sorts. I think we need to help those veterans much more than we're doing now. All the information I get is the shoe is completely on the other foot. Veterans are not getting the help they need, and they deserve it. Whether they just sign on of their own free will or it's a matter of economics, they're over there and they're fighting, they think, to protect us. That's their vote. Whether we think that's another matter. They are doing that, what they think they're doing, helping us. And to go ahead and say, sorry, buddy, you don't get help, to me, is unthinkable.
Right, and I would tend to agree.
Let's forget about the sore feet or something.
No, if they're combat victims, I'm not talking about combat victims.
Okay.
I'm talking about people who were in the military and got injured, like people do in the workplace. Work-related injuries.
So I'll have to challenge. I will find out and report back what percentage of our military budget goes to these kinds of ridiculous charges by old veterans.
Right, let's take a question.
Dr. Robert, I think that at one point you had mentioned military recruitment and the options for the children in high school. I thought maybe it'd be a good topic to bring up.
Yes. Apropos to that, I promised to bring a letter that I'd written to the director of the Hawaii State Jobs Fair and protest the fact that there are absolutely no job opportunities for non-high school bound high school kids at these job fairs except the military. And the military are there in grand force. Every single branch is there. And I got no response from her. I think maybe the military is paying her off. I don't know. But there are lots of non-college required jobs in Hawaii, but our high school students are not getting a shot at them as far as the job fairs are concerned. I find this very annoying. And there's some work to be done there.